Bear Mountain. It's a 5-mile hike, although that sign that you see as you enter the gate will tell you that you should allow 5 hours. And it took us 7. They rate the hike as difficult, and they're accurate. It's a very difficult hike. They suggest that you be fit because you'll be climbing 2,000 feet. And I would say that there are a couple of really hard ascents. This part of the trail that you see here is maybe 300-ish feet, maybe 400 feet of climb. And it's relatively relatively steep. But as we kept going up this mountain, we kept finding more difficult terrain to traverse. And again, that sign does warn you that the trail is rugged. Sometimes it's unmarked. It suggests that you have proper hiking clothes and shoes and all of that. We had tried this trail once before and made the same mistake as you're seeing here. Poor Lorraine, we both scrambled up here. It's almost a vertical ascent, and you have no choice but to get on your hands and knees and climb up there as best you can. But what you'll see in a moment, as Lorraine is making the last part of this climb, is you'll see somebody coming in from the left side of the screen, a runner with a dog. And as you see that person going down, I can tell you from experience that that's a much easier way to get to the same spot as what we did here. So we made this climb very difficult. And when we first did this hike, we actually lost the trail. We went the wrong direction and didn't regain the trail. We had to end our hike short that day. So on this one, and we've only really just started Bear Mountain, this time we found the right way to turn. As you can see here, the day had started off very sunny, cold though. I started off with my fleece on and my gloves on, and there'll be a point at the trail where I start to get a little heated and start delayering. But my goodness, the going up was tricky. Coming down was actually much harder, and I think it took us almost 2 hours to make the descent. Usually when you're coming down a mountain, you can usually make better time, obviously, than going up. But you can see just from the sections of the trail that I'm showing here that a lot of interesting footing, and it really does slow you down. There were some areas where, like this part, where it flattened out for a little bit, but that was all false hope. It would do that for a little bit, and then another corner would turn, and all of a sudden we were back into very difficult footing areas. But we made our way. I think you can't really move quickly on a trail like this. So as we were climbing up Bear Mountain, we came across waterfalls. I imagine with the heavy rainfall that we have had over the past little while, this would have been pretty dramatic. But even now, it's kind of cool to climb up here and see what it looks like. And as you can see, we're up pretty high right now, probably 5,400 feet or so in elevation. And I think we have another, 800 or so feet. I think it's an 1,800 foot ascent on the mountain, so we still have a ways to go. And eventually, finally, we could see the peak of Bear Mountain. There it is. Probably another hour and a half of hiking to get there. But amazing views at the top of these mountains. We had to keep climbing, of course, and it wasn't helped by all the wind. You could hear it just howling. There were parts of this trail where it almost felt like the wind was going to blow us over, and that made the hiking that much more difficult, in my opinion, because you were always a little concerned about where the trail was, the blind corners, the steepness, the footing, and the wind. But we kept going, and we kept seeing, amazing views as we kept climbing. At this point, we still had another 250 feet to go. And I will tell you, the last 250 feet, certainly the hardest. But there we are. We reached the top of Bear Mountain. We climbed roughly 2,000 feet in elevation from where we started. And of course, we have a chance to look at the amazing view from up there. We probably spent, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 minutes at the top. And from there, you could actually see the mountain peaks from Flagstaff, which is quite a distance away from Sedona. But yeah, just remarkable to be all the way up here. Now, we packed all of our cameras to do the descent because it was just too difficult to try and hold a camera and a video camera on the way down. And it did take us about 2 hours to make the return to the trailhead. But there we go. You know, we made the end of the trail. And I can assure you that I did not leave my backpack or any bottles at the end of the trail.